The Audacity of She. Incisive conversations with women who are challenging the status quo to create wildly fulfilling lives. Plus, practical information you can apply to your life right now. Hi, so happy to have you back here again this week. I've been getting really great feedback on the show, and I know you're loving the real world conversations. What I hear most is that you find it refreshing to hear that you're not alone in going through things in your life, and you love seeing powerful examples of women who have faced difficult times in their lives and really used those experiences as a catalyst to create meaningful change. The truth is that the women on the show are unique in that they rose to the challenge, but we all have the opportunity to do the same. So I'm thrilled to keep sharing these stories, and I'm so happy that they are inspiring you. My one ask is if you've benefited from this show, that you write a review on iTunes. Just a few words is all it takes, and it is invaluable in helping get the message out to even more women. I believe that our true nature is abundant and unstoppable. When we come together and celebrate what we've accomplished, when we honor both the good and bad times, and when we support each other in our growth and development, we create a powerful space for women to thrive. I'm so honored to share this little nook of the web, and I'm thrilled that you're along for the journey. So, without further ado, we'll jump into today's content. This conversation is with Maegan Watson. Maegan is a personal stylist and founder of Watson Style Group, a firm dedicated to creating wardrobes that practically hand you your outfit each time you get dressed so you can feel the way you want and love the way you look. If you've ever felt less than confident in what you're wearing or spent way too much time in the closet only to get frustrated and settle, you'll enjoy her perspective on investing in your look, why it's so much bigger than just you, and why it's actually not as expensive as you think. We talk about shame triggers and how they keep you from doing the work you do, wardrobe building as an act of self-care, and becoming visually aligned with who you are. I met Maegan in the 90-day year, and her work ethic inspires me so much. In our conversation, you'll get a behind-the-scenes look at how she went from burned-out employee to creating a very lucrative location-independent business and recently relocated her family from busy Chicago to the fresh air and mountains of Telluride, Colorado. So enjoy, and I will see you on the other side. Greetings, Maegan.
Hi, Dana.
How are you?
I'm doing really well. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for asking. I'm super happy that you're here and that we're having this conversation today.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
Cool, great. Okay, so what I would like to really touch on today is some of the leaps that you've made in the past few years in your personal life and with your business. And then I would like to jump into some of the transformative work that you do with your business.
Okay.
Great. Okay, so I thought it was super exciting and super cool when you made a leap from living in Chicago to moving to Colorado last year in 2016.
hmm
How did you make that decision? Why did you decide to go there?
Um, the decision was really based on um just a long time dream of my husband. My husband and I had this dream of moving back to Colorado. So I went to grad school here, and fell in love, and so moved back to Chicago for work. 'Cause that's where our family is. And we my business wasn't always virtual. And so we worked really hard for a while to make it mostly virtual so we could do that. And I knew that being in a space where nature is really accessible and where all the things that we love are really accessible would be, not only a positive impact on our lives, but on the business as well.
So has it had the outcome or have you experienced the results that you thought you would experience?
Oh, for sure. I mean, moving is always challenging, but and it's hard to tie, exact um returns on the decisions you make because there's so many facets. But um yeah, I mean, this year our business has more than doubled over last year, and it's really about, I think, um when you do something, when you actually take the steps to do something before you're ready to, it kind of triggers something inside of you that is like beyond fear, or I would say it's beyond fear, but um, it helps you just be a little bit braver in everything that you do. And I think that that is what has really contributed to, to the move having a positive impact on the business.
Yes, absolutely. So you felt like you moved to Colorado before you were ready?
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
Um, Yeah, I mean, for a million reasons, but yes, yes.
Huh, that's interesting. Okay, and before starting Watson Style Group, you worked in a corporate environment, didn't you?
Um, so yes, I mean, I worked for a small branding firm in the West Loop of Chicago, and we worked within corporate environments. So what I knew, the work that I did was mainly with executives and with organizations that had thousands of employees, who needed guidance on, um, telling their employees or educating their employees on dress code and business professional dress, business casual dress, and so on.
Hmm. So then obviously at some point you decided that that wasn't working out for you and that you wanted to make the leap to entrepreneurship. So how did you land on that as your next step? Did you feel ready to start your business when you did?
So how it happened is that I was extremely burnt out, as a lot of people get to in that type of working environment. So really long hours and very little self-care, very little sleep. Um, and also just I think, I was so much younger then and fresh out of grad school, and hadn't really, still in that mentality of graduate, get a job, graduate, get a job, graduate, get a job, not really what am I what am I here to be doing?
Hmm.
um and so I I got pretty sick, and that's what facilitated it all. And so um it was difficult to figure out what was wrong. And so I took time off because I was really kind of going to the doctor full time. So there wasn't time
Hmm.
to work. And so I focused on getting better. And what that led to was, I mean, I did different yoga retreats, I did different self development courses, I read lots of books. I mean, things that I would have never gotten into. Um,
Yeah, I saw that you are a yoga instructor. Did that come about during this time?
yeah, yeah, I ended up doing yoga teacher training for 6 weeks. I mean, just things that, like, I just, me as a person, took a complete 180 turn. Um, that is not who I was when I was younger and working. And um, so it was, I mean, all of that led to an incredible amount of healing, and really changed who I was,
Hmm.
in a very, very profound way. And so, yeah, after, this kind of spans a couple years, but I definitely got to the point where I could look back and be really grateful for getting sick. And it was within that time frame that my business started. So what happened is that I had people who, I've been styling for a long time now, over a decade, and I've had people from just different kind of venues reach out to me, um and ask, can you do this project, can you do this project, um and kind of just slowly starting to say yes to those things. So it was very much a side gig for a long time. um and I had the thoughts of, I can keep doing this, and It's kind of a nice thing to have. I'll be a mom, I'll have kids, I'll continue to do my side thing. Um, and then it turned into something so much bigger. So that's really how the business got started.
Hmm. Now, when you say it became something so much bigger, was that by choice or by necessity? Like, were you just like that busy where you kind of had no choice but to grow into a full scale business?
That's a interesting question, and I would say it's both.
Hmm.
Um, I wanted it. I wanted it to be bigger. I wanted to impact more people. I wanted to um, change the way I was operating. Um, and just, I just had a much bigger vision for what Watson Style Group could become. Um, which at the time wasn't Watson Style Group because it was still a one woman show doing everything. But um, yeah, it got super exciting, and it wasn't something. It was far too, in my eyes, it was far too impactful to keep it as this kind of small, quiet side job.
Mm. Yes, I love that. Absolutely. Huh. And then now around building a team, like your husband, he works within the company now too, doesn't he?
He does. So, which was not accidental, but kind of um he stopped his corporate job to go to med school actually. And within the transition of having our first child and um he would be starting school, gosh, I don't know. I mean, months after that. So, within that kind of lapse of time, he started working with me, mostly as kind of a second set of hands while I had a newborn. Um, and what happened was that in that time, the business actually grew a lot. He has a sales background, so he made a really significant impact on what we were doing
Hmm.
and also was having a lot of fun. So we kind of had um, this moment where we're like, I don't, you going back to school means 10 years of me basically being a single mom, not
Hmm.
seeing you, um, and you're having so much fun. So let's just see where this goes. You could always make the decision to go in a year or whatever. And that was 2 years ago. So,
Huh.
so yeah, he's definitely full. This is his gig too.
That's really cool. And that gives you guys the opportunity to spend more time with your super cute little son then too, doesn't it?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it does. I mean, we're so grateful for the logistics of our life because it does. It allows that. It allowed me to, because the business was mostly virtual at the time, it was, you know, while we still had to have childcare, I was able to nurse him and, because he's just in another room. And it's just all of those things that a lot of mothers don't get. I just am so, so, so grateful for.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, so in this process, somewhere you've also had to build a team. And that's something that it sounds like you wanted to take on because you had a big vision for your business. But tell us what that transition is like going from being the solopreneur, I can do everything myself to save money and get it done to, trusting that you can give some of those tasks away and have them done really well and just step into this new place.
Yeah, so it definitely wasn't a graceful transition. Um, and even though, my background or my formal education is in business, I just that's so different from being an entrepreneur. And you kind of like think you know it all, and just because you are good at numbers and being able to look at profitability and such. But so what happened is that it kind of started. Our very first team member was when I was still doing in person and I was pregnant. And um, it's actually a pretty physical job because you're shopping, you're carrying thousands of dollars of clothes, you're going to people's homes, you're carrying rolling racks. And so it got to the point where um, my husband was like, you can either hire an assistant or you really shouldn't be doing this anymore because it's just not safe. Like you need help.
Hmm.
So I hired an assistant. who would come with me to appointments and carry my things and, you know, carry the heavy boxes and all of that. And the idea was that she could check my email while I took, my 2 weeks off to have the baby. So that was kind of the first leap into hiring someone. And then what we ended up hiring coaches, marketing coaches, which every single business owner, no matter how big, whether it's a one woman show or, 50 plus people, should do for sure.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, we hired them, and what we wanted was help developing another sales funnel. And, they evaluated our business and they were like, we could send you all of the leads in the world, but your business will implode. You don't have the staff to sustain this. I mean,
Mm.
you're already completely maxed out. Like, how many more clients can you service?
Mm.
And, given the month, sometimes it's one or two. And it's like, so you're really not ready for the growth you're asking for. So instead of focusing on lead generation and creating a new sales funnel, we spent, mm, gosh, I would say 6 months, 6+ months developing a hiring strategy.
Mm.
Because I was really hesitant to bring on another stylist. Because the way in which I do, the way in which our programs are run are really quite different from traditional styling. And so I was, I wasn't sure that we could find someone with a traditional styling background to come in and support and serve in the same way that, I had been doing. And so it took a really long time and a lot of interviewing to find that first stylist. I think we went through about 25 candidates before we found one.
Mm.
And she's still with us. She's amazing. And so from there, we hired, um, we have a team of 7 people now, but, then it went to assistants, and we have a shipping manager, and we have, people who do tech, and there's all of these different components, and it's so great once they're in place, but the process of scaling is by far the most difficult thing I've ever had to do in the business, because it's scary and it's a lot of trial and error. So it's so worth it, but it's super challenging.
Yeah, and I would add too that you do it in such a visible way when you take on the accountability of a team. So as you have like little hiccups or along the way and like building structures, it's like it's not just you to deal with them. It's like the accountability to the people who you're trying to set up with a clean and functional working process.
Right. Right. It's like there are growing pains, and you just have to accept that they're going to happen, as difficult as it is. And like I said, it, I did not do it gracefully.
Mm.
Kind of every mistake that happened felt very um world ending, but
Yeah.
it's just part of the process if you want to grow.
Yeah, yeah. So do you feel like now that you're more graceful with the learning curves, the hiccups?
Oh, I do. And we spent this weekend, we're getting a little break. My parents are watching our son, and so we had a little break to do some strategic planning and um kind of planning out the next year. Because we're expecting another child in November. And
Oh,
so
congratulations.
thanks. And so I wanted, um, I want to plan, and I want to make sure, that I can take a good leave and everything is going to be functioning and fluid and feel really great. And so we have a hiring plan for the next year. And so we have 3 hires to make before November, and then 2 more hires to make before March 2018, and then 4 more before August
Wow.
2018.
Wow.
So it's it's definitely, we're at the time, if that was if I had seen that plan last year, I'd have been no, I just would have opted to not do it. But after going through it, it is possible. And so you kind of just you create a system, a hiring system that works, and then you tweak it after the first hire and you tweak it after the second hire. And then, eventually it's kind of rolling for you. So,
Kudos, because that's a big leap. That's a big vision.
mhm.
So what drives the work that you do with Watson Style Group? Why do you want it to, what's the outcome that you would like to have or the impact that you would like to have through the work that you do?
Mhm. So, I mean, boiled down to the basic level, our mission is to change the way women get dressed. And really what that does is that it it frees up um this incredible amount of energy that a woman typically puts into the way she looks and presents herself to the world. Um Really, I would say our work took a turn when I read, I've been following Brene Brown's work for years, and I'm a huge, huge fan. And when she talks about shame triggers, she what she what she focuses on is that they keep you from being what she calls in the arena. Um, and so she talks about how that trigger, so the trigger of, how I look and how that's making you feel, and layered with body image issues, that it's keeping you from speaking up, from doing the work you're meant to do, from being brave, from being vulnerable, all of these things that lead to a really wholehearted way to live. And so when I heard this and I heard, the empirical evidence of what of how women are affected by appearance and body image, I really knew that I had to focus our work a little more on addressing that, because there'd always been a gap for me in, people thinking that personal styling is somewhat trivial. Even though I know that it's not, even though I've seen the impact it's made on women's lives. And so, but that still stood. And so when I was able to kind of dive deeper into her work, um, and really see kind of how powerful it is when women start to address some of these triggers, so that they don't keep them from speaking up and being brave, and doing the hard work they're here to do. um, that's how that's how I started to shift our programs, and that really led to kind of why we do this work. It's because there's really incredible people out there. There's really incredible women serving others in these really profound ways. And if there's something that I can do to make their work, make their lives easier, make their work more easily received by the audience, all of that dials into how we are presenting ourselves visually and how we feel about it, how the message that it sends. And so that's really kind of the bottom line of what we do.
Yeah, so excuse me, when I was watching a video yesterday in preparation for this conversation today, I saw that one of the traits that you look for in the women that you work with is that they have a clearly defined mission. Yes?
Yes, that's correct.
Because then you help them identify the best clothing options for them based on the objectives they'd like to accomplish.
It's we use the mission a little differently. So the reason why we want, the women that we work with, the reason why we want them to have a mission or support them in identifying one, is because that becomes the guiding force for the work that we do. So, or another way to say that is that becomes the bar that we hold for them. So when you have this mission, the work that you're doing, whether it be work on your visual presence, whether it be work on your um, all of the different facets. It could be different facets that you're working on your business. It could be developmental work you're doing on sales, or any type of personal development. that work that you're doing becomes less about you. It becomes less about, okay, I'm buying this necklace for me. I'm buying this beautiful pair of shoes for me. It becomes, I'm I'm addressing these visual attributes. I'm addressing the way that I want to look because it's going to serve this mission. It's going to serve, and we're able to tie that back to, this becomes an act of self-care. You are the vessel at which this mission will be accomplished. So we need to take care of you to, to our greatest ability. And so that's where the mission comes in. It becomes this bar, and it becomes the way we alleviate, really the guilt that can be associated with um buying clothing for ourselves or doing something that feels a little bit indulgent, because it's not about being indulgent. It's not about being frivolous or being wasteful or, consuming at this high rate. It's about taking care of the person that you are so that you can accomplish this mission. um, and how we select the clothing, yeah, the mission of, you know, can impact that. But the way the clothing gets selected is um, through a process of uncovering values, ideal feelings, um, and attributes that really resonate with you. So it can be anything from nature, it can be the things that you love to do, from hiking to reading to cooking. All of those things get mixed together to create an aesthetic representation that is designed to be kind of the best fit for you. So it's not really our job or your job to come up with, oh, I like the way that dress looks and I like the way this person dresses. It's about kind of diving in and finding really these more core elements. And then our job is to ascribe the way those will look visually.
Huh.
And that's, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that is so powerful. That's such a unique way to come at it.
Yeah, it's done a little differently, and I do think that I would say that it's that process change that I would attribute to the success that we have, because it really it really takes the pressure off of the both individuals, and takes it off of, are you going to like this? Are they going to like this? Is my audience going to like this? Because it's you we're representing, and there's really no, you at your core are perfect. And so if we can really capture that, then there's no, it's really uncommon for someone to not like that image that we've created, because
Mm.
it's based on them. It's not something we've liked and planted on them, which happens quite, that can happen with, especially with editorial styling. It's just, let's create something beautiful and put it here, which that has that old, this different objectives. But when it comes to personal styling, it really has to be pulled from the person, or it's not going to do its job.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. So then you mentioned that the wardrobe is like a secret weapon to becoming the best and the bravest version of yourself. So
Hmm.
how is it that through this work you help women accomplish that objective?
Well, that's kind of the perfect segue from what we were just talking about, which is, because this image, this new wardrobe, is a representation of who you are. It's it always happens where we're on our try on session, and they're commenting on, this outfit is beautiful, or this skirt is beautiful, or my lookbook is beautiful. um and it's at that moment that we have the opportunity to tell them that we really love that you think it's beautiful. We really love that you like it. But the part you have to remember, that this is you. This is, if you think that this whole vision, this whole lookbook is beautiful, it's because it's a representation of who you are. The way the colors were combined, the way the textures were combined. And so if they can, accept that and believe that and embody that, and allow that to be um their reminder of every time they get dressed is, oh, I really like what I'm wearing. And this is a representation of just how amazing I am. That's how we can begin to always step into, it's step into our best and bravest selves. It's not someone you need to become, it's someone you already are that you just need to allow yourself to be, or allow
Mm.
yourself to realize, or allow yourself to show other people. Um, and so that's how we do that.
So, how does a woman know when she is ready to step it up and take this next step with her wardrobe and the way that she physically presents herself to the world?
Um, I think it's just listening to the experience you're having when, I think it happens first for most people when they're out and about with other people, whether it's at a networking event or on a date or at a conference or whatever it might be. Um, really taking note of what conversations happening in your head, because it's going to happen subconsciously first,
Mm.
um, before it gets to the conscious place of. And sometimes they don't make that realization until we're on the phone talking, and it's like, yeah, I was questioning my shoes that day, and again, I just want to repeat that none of this is silly, that all of us do this, everyone. Or the 80% plus of us who are visually oriented. And so it's not silly that you're making the realization that, yeah, I was questioning my shoes. And I realized that I had a little hole in my sweater. And so I talked to less people at that networking event. I kind of stayed quiet. I when I went to the bathroom, I looked at my hair and I kind of sighed. And so then just went back and sat at my table instead of, mingling with other people. And it's just these kind of subtle things that affect your ability to communicate in a really meaningful way. And so I think it's noticing. And then the second part is when you're getting dressed in the morning. Most of us are getting dressed in some point in the first half of our day. And if you're noticing like what that experience is like for you, is it frustrating? Is it fun? Is it beyond frustrating? Is it to the point where it's kind of a little bit debilitating, where you're then just opting for um, maybe yoga pants or something that you don't want to be putting on because it's just you're in there with the intention of, I'm going to get dressed, and then you retreat from that intention because you just can't find something. And so I think it's noticing, is that really how I want to be starting my day?
Mm.
Um, we started with a really amazing, amazing woman, and she kind of really vulnerably shared with us um, that the way she was dressing was even affecting like making eye contact at the grocery store. And,
Mm.
we all got to this emotional place on the call because she's just such an incredible person, and so sweet. And she's really doing the world a disservice by not engaging with other people, because other people engaging with her will for sure make their day better. And so I think that you have to really honor um, who you are and what you want to be doing. And if the way you look is impacting that in any way, um, knowing that it's okay to want to address that. It's okay to ask for help to address that. It's okay that, yes, it's visual and yes, it has to do with clothing, but that you are amongst a bunch of other amazing women who are having the same issue.
Okay, we'll take a step back for just a second here. For this part of the conversation, Megan and I discuss who is a good fit for working with a personal stylist, what that can look like, how you can customize your experience to what you really need so you can live at the level you prefer. And she also sheds light on why working with a stylist can actually save you money. So let's dive back in and hear what Megan has to say.
It's funny. I think that someone wrote a testimonial before for us, and I forget her exact words, but she was like, "I definitely thought working with a stylist was for celebrities."
Hmm.
And she kind of made this comment how she's only a stay-at-home mom and all of this stuff. And I, especially being a mother, there's nothing true about saying you're only a stay-at-home mom. I mean,
Hmm.
you are like running the world when you're a mother and working to do all of those things. And so, but that was her comment. I used to think this was only for celebrities, but we've done we've done silly things from like one of my favorites was we did a lookbook that was titled T-ball wardrobe, and it's because this woman was busy. She had two boys, and she had to go to T-ball games every single weekend. And she was like, I just want something cute and comfortable that can get dirty, and my shoes are comfy. And it's not silly to be asking a professional to do that for you, because
Hmm.
your time is better spent with those two boys or having fun or doing fulfilling work. That's kind of the whole thing, is that it's not just it's for people who wear clothes, and who are, at that, like we talked about earlier, at that place of I'm ready to make a bigger impact in my life. Let's start to see the things that I can hand off, or that really I'm not doing at the level I need to be, to be living the life at the level that I want. So it's an interesting stereotype, I would say. I mean, and not that, it does, when you work with a personal stylist, yes, you're going to be purchasing clothing. So there's the act of spending money.
Mm-hmm.
But I've had a lot of clients say that, and we have numbers, they've given numbers, but where the year, because typically people work with us for a full year, the year they've worked with us, they spent less money, because they're not out trialing all of these things. Like, oh, I have a speaking engagement, I better go get a dress. So,
Mm.
okay, you drop X amount on a dress that you don't know how to wear again, or it really wasn't great in the first place, but your flight was leaving, in the morning, so you
Mm-hmm,
had to
mm-hmm.
get it. So when people who are kind of really into their personal finances look at like, wow, I actually spent less doing this. And I would say for people who have a lot of visual engagements, that tends to be the case. Because you're not, I had a client who was they'd fly to their location that they were going to, whether it was for a conference or a speaking engagement, and then pop into a store when they got there to find something to wear. Like, oh my gosh, why don't you just go and enjoy a good dinner
Mm.
and or prepare for what you're going to say, instead of compiling these mounds of clothing, and then they wouldn't get worn again, because it's like it was purchased under stress, and then it has this negative connotation to it. So it's really interesting the way the shopping patterns that get created.
Wow. Yeah, that's powerful. Cool. Well, Megan, I think we covered everything that I had on my mind. Is there anything else that you wanted to share?
No, I don't think so. We talked a lot. This was a really great conversation.
Great. Yeah, I think so too. So for anyone who wants to get in touch with you, maybe check out some of your work, reach out if they feel inclined, how would they do that?
The very best way to do that is to go to watsonstylegroup.com/styling dash session. And this is kind of just where you can learn about what it is that we do. So one of the other unique things that we do is that anyone who um, has an interest in personal styling gets to experience us complimentary. And I feel like that's the best way to see if, to let people test the water, so to say, of personal styling feels great. This Watson Style Group is a fit, isn't a fit. Um, and so that's the best way, because that will kind of give you the info you need and allow you to actually get questions answered.
Mm. Okay, great. Well, Megan, thank you so much for coming on today.
Yeah, thank you for having me and your great questions. It was really fun to talk about.
Well, thank you and have a great day.
Yeah, thank you, Dana.
Take care. Did today's topic inspire you, encourage you, or challenge you to look at your own processes in a different way? Join us in our Facebook group to continue the conversation. It's where all the good stuff happens after the show. It's theaudacityofshe.com/Facebook. Again, that's theaudacityofshe.com/Facebook. See you there.